Jamaicans.com, wagwan. It's your girl Suzette Speaks, coming to you from the beautiful city of Coral Springs, Florida. We are here with a lovely young lady who has allowed us into her home, yes, her home office today, to talk a little bit about the entrepreneurial journey. Her name is Miss Julia Aquino-Serrano. Hey Julia.
Hey.
And you know what's so funny? She's not Jamaican, okay? But she told me she's going to a baby shower today. Tell me about this baby shower you're headed to after this interview.
So today I'm headed to a baby shower with Andrea and Andre. And they got married last year. They're having a baby soon. And it will be a Jamaican fest.
Okay.
They're both from Jamaica. Their families
are
from Jamaica. They're friends. And I always have a great time when I'm with them.
So I love it. I was assuming that she wouldn't know a lot about Jamaican culture, but I stand corrected. So she will be hanging out with Andre and Andrea just in a little bit. So I'm grateful that you're here. We wanted to give you guys opportunity to meet somebody who is an expert at both systems within a business and making sure businesses are running to their optimum with regards to, and she's going to fill me in because her other business, I'm going to talk about two businesses she has today. The first one is called All Systems Grow. And tell us what you do when All Systems Grow.
Sure. So All Systems Grow is actually my consulting firm that I've had for 10 years. And what we do is we go into companies that are generally 10 to 100 million, and we work with them on their strategy and operational processes. So what that means is I actually look at what they're doing financially and operationally and make sure that their behaviors are going to take them to the next level and align with their strategic objectives.
I love it. And so her background to do this, she told me before we started that she has an undergrad in finance, a master's in accounting. Trust me, if you have any areas that need improvement within your business, she'll find them. I was like, oh, I'm impressed. That's really cool. But the way I know her is that she's an incredible speaker, teacher, coach. And in her second business called She Defined, she loves figuring out where women can improve themselves and their lives so that they can reach their full potential. So she spoke at a conference. Hey, shout out to the Speak Women's Conference. It's coming up again, April 4th. Shameless plug. I'll put the link here in this interview. But what's so important about what we're going to talk about today is that I admire her as an entrepreneur, but a lot of times we have this glamorous idea of what it means to become our own boss, right? We want to open business. I feel like that's like the maybe even the word of the decade is the entrepreneur. The 2010s was all about, oh, we don't want to work for anybody and we want to go out and start our own company. But there is some downside. I'm sorry, did I hurt your feelings? There is some downside to doing this, or some challenges is a better way of saying it that people don't talk about. People only want to say, I make my own schedule, I don't answer to anyone. Yeah, you do. You answer to those clients. And it's not always an easy journey. It has a lot of ups and it has a lot of downs, and it can be very complex, sometimes rewarding, sometimes lonely. And we want to talk a little bit about the realities of what it means to start your own business. Again, we're not sugarcoating here. I want you to drop a comment, make sure you like, make sure you share. But this is a three-way conversation. So make sure, tell us where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. So tell us about your experience into becoming an entrepreneur. Where did you start and where are you now?
Sure. So I actually left corporate America probably about 15 years ago. And I had been in corporate America for about 20 years. And I literally came home one day to my husband at the time and I said, you know what? They're stealing my soul. And that is really, really, really what I thought.
Can you relate? Drop a comment. I know this feeling.
Right?
Can you relate? Yes. So that conversation came, and what happened?
The conversation came in. And so that is when I actually started to think differently about what I could do for myself and where I could build something for me and for the world. And so that is where I started really my consulting journey. And so the reason I went into consulting is because it was a way to still be able to leverage my expertise. I loved what I was doing. I loved the data. I loved the numbers. I loved making sense of all that for the companies. And so I figured that was a way that I could still support myself and be able to take that journey into entrepreneurship and not have to work for other people.
Yeah. I think what you're saying is very resonates a lot with people who are watching. So if you are probably mid-career or later, you're at the point where you're getting that itch. Sometimes, again, people are very happy. They want the security. I don't blame you. There is no judgment here, judgment-free zone. But oftentimes you're looking around and you're saying, I want to do more. I want to help more people in a different way. And oftentimes you are not necessarily, what should I say, rewarded at your job. Like you're doing your job and you're doing it well, but you're kind of getting to the top or where you level off as far as being a professional.
Right.
So what next? So you had the conversation and he said, okay.
Well, so that's another story that was a husband ago. So that's a whole nother conversation.
Keep
but let's just move on. So let me just tell you the truth about what happened once I started doing it. So I actually, now that I think about it, I actually became, I actually moved more into the consulting journey when I got divorced.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's actually what I did.
Wow. But that's a scary time because then you are not looking at a certain paycheck. And so you were very brave to step out, both something new in terms of relationships and then something new in terms of your career.
Correct.
What did you tell yourself? How did you get the strength and the confidence to step out there?
So I have this crazy sense of anything's possible. And so I just believed that anything was possible. But it was possible. That first 2 years was literally treacherous. There, I was going through a divorce, and I will say that I was financially stable at that point.
Okay. Yeah.
So I did have that backup for a full 12 months. But after that 12 months was over, and I was used to making well into the six figures.
Yeah.
And so to be starting over and having some months where I brought in $3,000 when I was used to bringing in 15 or 16.
Exactly. That's a huge gap. And so what do? Do you scale back your lifestyle? Do you?
Yes.
I've learned that. you gotta figure out how to make ends meet until things start to happen and the growth occurs.
Yes.
Wow. So that took 2 years.
It took 2 years.
Wow.
And the other side of that is that I still deal with people that are going through this entrepreneurial journey, and it can take up to 5 years to be back to where you started.
Right.
And so a lot of us go into that entrepreneurial journey for all the right reasons, but we may not necessarily have all the right skills.
Ooh, yes. So I went to law school, you guys know, and I always say that they didn't teach you how to run a law firm. They taught you the law, but the business of being a lawyer is not something that we learned. And law practice management, just like any other business management, is a true skill. So just because you know accounting or fill in the blank, whatever profession, doesn't mean you understand the business, client acquisition, how to collect on outstanding invoices, how to make sure your cash flow. Oh my gosh, that was a big lesson for me. I'm like, cash is king. I don't have anything to pay my bills with this month. So I think it's a huge learning curve.
Yes.
And people are not necessarily prepared mentally to say, whoa, I need help. Or this is taking a lot longer to become profitable than I thought it would. And sometimes you say to yourself, okay, it's just a matter of time, we're going to stick it out. But there's some reality behind that, especially if you have a family or others who depend on you. And if you're like me by yourself and you're still looking around like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do to survive this kind of the dip in income? And realizing that it is not all, glamorous, and you're not going to be rich tomorrow when you decide to step out there. So what happened? So you got through that time building up your business, and you figured out how to keep clients, get clients. What was the biggest part of that learning curve for you?
So I think the biggest part of the learning curve was actually learning how to sell. So the one thing that I stress to every entrepreneur is you have to be able to sell.
Yes.
You have to be able to sell yourself.
Yes.
You have to believe in yourself and your product so much that they believe in you from the truth of what you can provide.
Right.
And for the many entrepreneurs that I've worked with and I've met, the sales part is the hardest part unless you come from sales.
Absolutely. And I would always add, as a woman as well, I feel sometimes we are challenged, not everybody, but I think sometimes we're challenged with feeling like what we have is valuable and it's okay to be paid for it. It's okay to ask for money. It's okay because you are exchanging value.
Yes.
I think that's a big hurdle for a lot of people. But is that, and I think everybody's a salesperson. When you really think about any business that you're in, whether you're a dentist, chiropractor, whoever, you're a salesperson.
You have to
and I think sometimes we are neglectful of kind of training ourselves or gaining that skill set. So you learned that on your own, or did you know that before? Or how did you develop that muscle of selling?
I think I developed it out of desperation.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I am a relationship builder. I enjoy people. So part of it did come naturally to me. What didn't come naturally to me was stating my worth. And there's actually a chapter in my book where I speak about the fact that I had an interaction with a female CEO, and I did not get the consulting opportunity because she felt like I did not value myself enough to charge what they ultimately paid for the value of the work that I was going to be doing.
Wow.
And she was right. And so that was my eye-opening moment where I changed my pricing, and that was it.
Wow. Listen, I don't know about you, but I'm being very inspired right now. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to pricing yourself, particularly if you are a consultant, or if you work, like I said, as a sole practitioner within a chiropractic office, or somebody who owns their own company and you are the business, pricing is so difficult, for me anyway, because especially when it comes to friends and family and all the other people that come knocking, you're like, all right, well, I could do this contract for you for X, but you know it's probably valued at Y. So what do? How do you convince yourself? Or is it just out of necessity that, listen, we got our bills have to be paid too, so therefore I have to see myself differently? How did you make that transition to know your own worth?
So the part about it being a necessity, I would caution against, because then we show up in the conversation from desperation.
Yeah.
But when we truly recognize the value, so you have to recognize the value you bring to the client. And when you can actually present the value you bring, whether or not they value it is up to them.
Right.
But when you price it based on the value you're bringing them, it's no longer selling.
Say that again. Hold on. Say that again. I'm just letting it marinate, folks. So I hope this is helping you guys, particularly those who are on this or want to be on this entrepreneurial track. So say that one more time.
So when you price it at the value you bring, it is no longer a sales conversation. If they value it, if they value what you are going to present to them,
right,
they will pay, because you are bringing them something in return for that money.
Exactly. And I'm big on that. And when I ask everyone, you know, especially if they're coming to speak or whatever you're doing for me, do you add value to people's lives? Yeah. There's a big question mark around that, because what you think you're doing and what you're actually doing, it might be two different things. So that's when you get consultants, and that's when you bring other people on board to make sure, hey, am I doing this right? Or do you see the value in this? Is there something that I can do to improve how I present the information to others? That's pretty cool. So tell us about what you do now in terms of the She Defined brand. I love the fact that there are women who can turn to other women who've gone through this process, seasoned professional, who has seen both corporate side as well as the entrepreneurial side. What do you do for women when they come to you and say, hey, I really want to change my life or change direction, change my course? What does that look like?
So She Defined Inc. was created because I grew up as a female in corporate America in a very male-dominated world. And there was a long time where we didn't realize we had a voice. And so She Defined was created to actually help women to find their authentic voice, to build their lives and their businesses on their terms.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And so the point is really to help women both understand business, the true aspects of business, finances, cash flow, how to read an income statement, how to create your value, how to define your value, how to price, how to make sales calls, how to get really, really clear on your messaging and your marketing. Right. But also to shift your mindset into the truth about you as a perfect being. You and your innate gifts that were God-given, right? You were born with these special, amazing gifts, and sometimes we forget them. And so a lot of the work I do is to help you to remember what those gifts are. Wow. So you can remember your value, so you can speak from your truth, so you can own the outcome of what it is you want in your life, And so you can go get it.
Absolutely.
Because that's up to us.
Absolutely.
No one's handing that to us.
I feel like I need a reminder every day of these things, because I tell people all the time, once you leave school and kind of start adulting, the positive feedback that you get in terms of your loved ones or even in your inner circle is not always consistent. And you tend to forget, ladies, who you are and what you're bringing to the table. And if you don't know those things, you get left behind. You definitely get underestimated. And like she said, especially if you're in a corporate structure, you get looked over. Yeah. And opportunities are passing us by that we really do need to take advantage of. So I want you to leave us with some tips in terms of entrepreneurs who don't really think the entire, or maybe don't even know, it's not a judgment, in terms of don't even know some of the things you ought to be aware of before you say, I'm going to leave my job and I'm going to start my own consulting business company, fill in the blank. What are a couple of things that you should know or at least consider before you step out there on your own?
Yes. So I keep starting my sentences with so. So that's going to be fun in this video. One of the things you must do is be prepared financially. Before you leave that corporate job, really make sure that you have what you need or something that's going to give you some level of comfort. If you are going to start a company, start it before you leave. Start building your audience. Start creating the marketing.
Absolutely.
Go out there with full awareness of what this is going to take.
Yeah.
Starting a company is not, oh, I get to work out in the morning. I'll go in the office at 10. I'm going to leave at 2 to pick up the kids. You're not going to build anything.
You're not going to have any money at the end of
No,
the day.
no. So in the beginning, entrepreneurship it was for me 7 days a week.
Yes. Wow.
Sometimes 12-hour days.
Wow.
And I had to make that balance and judgment call sometimes of family versus building this, knowing that I was on a journey that was going to take me to a place that I would have more control, but recognizing I may not have full control right now. So go in with eyes wide open, full awareness, go in prepared financially. And go in with a plan to learn that which you don't know or fill in the gap with others.
I love
Those are my 3 tips.
So you better remember this, guys. Again, we want to make it something that is transparent for you, that it is not all glamour. It is not saying I got a business card now and I don't work for anyone. That's just the beginning, guys. And if you are not financially set, it's okay to start where you are. Meaning keep your job. And keep working on your dream while you're doing something for someone else. That's okay. I think the side hustle culture has been trivialized a bit, but that's where people start. It doesn't take you leaving to necessarily start your business. So I think that's great information. Also, continue learning. Hook up with people like Julia. Make sure you're surrounding yourselves with the resources and tools you need.
Get a mentor. Get a mentor.
Programs exist all throughout SCORE, and I could keep going. All these different programs exist to make sure you're successful, but a lot of people don't take advantage of it. So, real quick, I want to plug one more time the Speak Women's Conference. Julia, if you want to hear more about what she does and really her transformative words, every time she comes and graces our stage, I get blown away, and she is going to be talking about the power of choice. We're not going to give it away. You thought we were going to give it away? No, but she's going to talk a little bit more about the power of choice. But for people who have not been to the conference, can you describe your experience being there last year and what people can expect?
Sure. So my experience last year was that I was in a room with the most loving energy that I've ever experienced to this day in my entire life. It is. I remember just the true love, even from the stage, from every single human that I met that day, was love and openness and support and respect and kindness. It's a beautiful, beautiful audience. The speakers were all amazing. Their energy, their truth, their authenticity, the sisterhood. So I would highly recommend going. It is transformative to everyone that attends. I was transformed. And I was incredibly grateful to be there with you and to be on that stage and to be able to meet the beautiful women and men that were there that day. It was amazing, amazing energy.
I'm grateful that you said what you said, Julia, because that was the intention. Sometimes when you put things together that you hope will, give people that push, disrupt their lives, get them going, you don't know what you're going to end up with. But if that's the result, amen. And we're going to try to do it again.
Yes,
so get your tickets April 4th and in the city of Miramar at the Miramar Cultural Center. It's a full day event, guys. You will be full, trust me. Spirit, mind, career-wise, professionally, and bonding with others. We have an excellent day planned for you. I'm not going to give you any more. Anyway, before we go, Julia, tell people where they can find you and more about your companies.
Absolutely. So check us out at shedefined.com, allsystemsgrow.co. You can email me, julia@shedefined.com. And you can find us on Instagram and Facebook as She Defined INC.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, share. We love you. We'll see you next Saturday. Take care, guys.